Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Series, where I preview and predict every NCAA men's college basketball conference tournament. This is the 26th of 31 podcasts I'll be recording in this series, and now up the Big Ten tournament, which is going to be fun. 14 teams, as they are mostly every year in the Big Ten tournament. It will all begin tomorrow. And the tournament this year will be held at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's actually not at the Pacers Arena. It's at the Colts Stadium instead. And it was supposed to be on or at the United Center, but they moved it due to COVID to Lucas Oil. So that's pretty neat. So it all begins tomorrow, March 10th for the first round. Second round is Thursday, March 11th. Quarterfinals Friday, March 12th. The semifinals on Saturday, March 13th, and the championships Sunday, March 14th. So, without further ado, here we go. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, March 10th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, number 13 seeded Minnesota against number 12 seeded Northwestern. Minnesota 13-14 overall, 6-14 in conference play. Northwestern 9-14 overall, 6-13 in conference play. My projections here: Minnesota by 1.5, total 144.5. Therefore, I have Minnesota into the second round. And the second of two first-round games, tomorrow night, March 10th, 9 o'clock p.m. on the Big Ten Network. 14-seeded Nebraska against 11-seeded Penn State. Nebraska, 7-19 overall, 3-16 in conference play. Penn State, 10-13 overall, 7-12 in conference play. My projections, Penn State by 7, total 141. Therefore, I have Penn State into the second round. So the second round is Thursday, March 11th. It all will begin 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday late morning. You got a nice matchup, 9-seeded Michigan State against 8-seeded Maryland. Two solid teams in the Big Ten. Michigan State with a great turnaround to get themselves in a realistic shot to put themselves in the at-large conversation. They are led by Aaron Henry, who's come a long way in his college career. And in Maryland, obviously, led by Aaron Wiggins and Eric Ayala. You could argue that Maryland's a deeper team, but I project Michigan State by 3.5, total 136.5. We all know that March is Izzo time. Izzo. As John Rothstein says, January, February, Izzo, April, May, June, etc. Michigan on to the quarterfinal. 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. Number 13 seeded Minnesota against number 5 seeded Ohio State. My projection is Ohio State by 11.5. As I keep saying in every podcast of this series, future totals are much harder to project than future lines. Minnesota got off to that good start, but they absolutely faltered. Maybe they fired Richard Pitino at the end of the year. They have a good player in Marcus Carr. He's led them the way this season. The Buckeyes, rock solid. Chris Holtman's a rock star. E.J. Little and Dwayne Washington Jr. lead the way on that team. I project Ohio State, as I mentioned, by 11.5. Therefore, Ohio State into the quarterfinals. 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, March 11th on the Big Ten Network. 7-seeded Rutgers against 10-seeded Indiana. Indiana on the year 12-14 overall, 7-12 in conference play. Rutgers 14-10 on the year, 10-10 in conference play. I forgot to mention Ohio State 18-8 overall, 12-8 in conference play. Maryland 15-12 overall, 9-11 in conference play. Michigan State 15-11 overall, 9-11 in conference play. So Rutgers and Indiana. Indiana, I think, is a shot for the season. They've just been an underachieving program under Archie Miller. As good as Trace Jackson Davis is, he just can't do it by himself. He's obviously going to be the best player in the court in this game. Rutgers has some good players, Ron Harper Jr. and Jacob Young. So I think they're the deeper team. Steve Pickle's a good coach of his own, but it's just that Archie Miller has just been underachieving. Maybe he's just not as good as a coach as we thought he was at Dayton. I project Rutgers by 4.5, total 139.5. Therefore, I have Rutgers into the quarterfinals. And the last of 4 second-round games, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern on the Big Ten Network. 11-seeded Penn State against 6-seeded Wisconsin. Wisconsin 16-11 overall, 10-10 in conference play. My projection is Wisconsin by 9.5. Penn State's played a little bit better down the stretch, had some upset victories, including against Maryland. They're led by Myron Jones and Isaiah Brockton. And on the other side of Wisconsin, they've fallen off after a good start for them. They're led by a good duo, Demetric Trice and Mika Potter. I'm going to project Wisconsin to advance to the quarterfinal because like I said, project them as a big favorite of 9.5. Quarterfinals Friday, March 12th, 11:30 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. 9-seeded Michigan State against 1-seeded Michigan. Michigan on the season. 19-3 overall, 14-3 in conference play. By projection is Michigan by 7. Therefore, I have Michigan going to the semifinals. They're just awesome. They are led by, obviously, 3 really good players. Hunter Dickinson, Isaiah Livers, and Franz Wagner. So there you have it. All right. The next quarterfinal game, 2:00 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. 4-seeded Purdue against the 5-seeded Ohio State. We talked about Ohio State a little bit. Purdue on the year, 18-8 overall, 13-6 in conference play. Purdue, a lot of turnover from the offseason. Matt Painter's a good coach. They're led by Jaden Ivey and Trevion Williams. I project Purdue by only a half over Ohio State, so therefore Purdue to the semifinals. Third of 4 quarterfinal games, 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. 7-seeded Rutgers against 2-seeded Illinois. Illinois on the year, 20-6 overall, 16-4 in conference play. Brad Underwood, this is his best coaching job at Illinois. They're probably going to be the 4th 1 seed in this tournament, assuming that the Fighting Illini don't falter in this tournament with the combination of some other teams emerging. Ayu Dosunmu is going to win the National Player of the Year award, potentially. Kofi Cockburn's a good guy in the middle, and Trent Frazier's a good player too. And freshman Adam Miller just hasn't lived up to the hype this year. They were big on him coming into the season. But anyway, I project Illinois by 10. I have them into the semifinals. And the last of the 4 quarterfinal games, 9:00 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. 6-seeded Wisconsin against 3-seeded Iowa. I project Iowa by 5.5. Iowa obviously has a great player in Luka Garza. And they have some depth as well. Joe Weiskamp and Jordan Bohannon. So I got Iowa into the semifinals. And then the semifinals, Saturday, March 13th, 1:00 p.m. on CBS. Purdue against Michigan, the 4 versus the 1. I talked about both these teams. I think Michigan's the deeper team, although Purdue has some good talent as well. I have Michigan projected as a 3-point favorite, so therefore Michigan to the championship. 3-seeded Iowa against 2-seeded Illinois. My projection is Illinois by 2. So you have Asa Dosunmu against Luka Garza. That should be a fun matchup, but I think Dosunmu's team is better and deeper. So give me Illinois to the championship as I project them as a 2-point favorite over Iowa. And then the Big Ten championship game, the game before the brackets announced, 3:30 p.m. on CBS on Sunday, March 14th. 2-seeded Illinois against 1-seeded Michigan. Great game, great talent on both sides of the ball. 2 really good coaches in Brad Underwood on one side and Juwan Howard on the other. I think Juwan Howard's done a fantastic job at Michigan since John Beilein left. And I wasn't sure how he was going to be, but he's been awesome. That's a slam dunk hire for them, as well as obviously Underwood for Illinois, although it took a couple years for them to be this awesome. But my projection, though, is Illinois by 4. And Illinois has the best player in the country, Asa Dosunmu. He's going to lead the Fighting Illini to the Big Ten tournament champions, as they'll be the auto bid and will be a number 1 seed. Michigan will be a number 1 seed as well. Iowa, I think, will be like a 2 or 3. Purdue, I think, has a chance to be a 4. Wants to make the championship game or the championship. Ohio State will make it. Wisconsin will make it. Rutgers will make it. And I think Michigan State will make it. And by the way, I think the Michigan State-Maryland game on Thursday afternoon is a possible winner-go-home game for both of those teams. So there you have it, the Big Ten men's basketball tournament preview and predictions. Next up's another big conference, the SEC.